one thing I find that companies are still doing wrong, so if there's one specific thing that I would say is, don't design your processes based on the do's and don'ts in the regulations. Right? Design your processes based on what is current best practice for that. So whether it's a clinical process or a manufacturing process, and particularly my interest to do with software and systems and system lifecycle best processes, it's get the right SMEs who understand the processes and the products to design the process. And almost automatically, if it's a good process, it will meet regulatory requirements. Don't try and design, let's say, a processes to manage computerized systems by looking at the regulations. That's not and kind of trying to reverse engineer a good process from a series of pretty erratic and random do's and don'ts. That's not going to work. So don't be process driven rather than compliance driven, which is obviously a very close link to what we've been talking about all day. And base that on a very clear understanding of what quality means for the customer, right? So the target quality profile for that product. What is important for that product to be effective and safe and available and cheap enough to use? It's product driven, but in a wider sense, in that it's patient driven. It's thinking about what you need to deliver, and that will help you design your processes, and you get the right subject matter experts to define those processes, and then almost inevitably compliance will, if they're the right subject matter experts defining the processes in the best way they can, compliance is not going to be a problem. But if you start from the bottom and start saying, okay, well, I've got 100 regulatory requirements here, how can I stitch those together into a process? It's not going to work. It's got to be top down, based on what the patient needs, what therefore the product needs, and how these processes will deliver what the patient needs, and get the right SMEs in and guide them through quality assurance and regulatory training and hand-holding. But the worst thing that the company could do is to get somebody who's an expert in the regulations, and this person comes in with, I've just written your quality system for you. Here it is, and fit yourself around that, would you? Or here's a regulation, do this. It's start with the patient, start with the product, work down the process, not upwards from the regulation, because that's a recipe for disaster.